Good evening, folks. It's Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Monday. It's late night. Coming on real quick to discuss the mayor's new podcast. Have you seen the UnMike'd? Good evening, folks. I'm Freddy Vazquez. Tonight, I wanted to go over really quick. I haven't been on in a couple of days. I just decided to take a break. Sometimes you need a break, spend time with the family, although I do that a lot, actually. Don't want to make it seem like I don't, but I just want to take a break, and I'm back. I wanted to go over the mayor's, has a podcast now. The mayor has a new podcast. It's called UnMike'd. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you haven't, you'll see it with me here. He discusses Hollywood on the Hudson. That's episode 1. It's all about the studios, Lionsgate, and how that came about, right? And it's interesting because he discusses how the governor came to him with this idea, actually, about making Yonkers or turning Yonkers into, Hollywood on the Hudson, basically, bringing the movie studios here. So, that's something I didn't know. And it's just like Spano's idea, right? Or someone else here in Yonkers, but Albany came down to the mayor and said, hey, the big wigs, the movie studio guys, the people with the money, they want to, build studios here in New York. They're looking for an East Coast version of Hollywood. And so we thought Yonkers would be great, and so that's how it, I guess it materialized. And it's interesting that he, he says that here, and I'll play it here in a second, because I had a conversation once with a gentleman. You may be familiar with this guy. His name is Richard Thomas. He was the former mayor of Mount Vernon. One time he was the mayor, had some troubles there, pled guilty to some things there, some mismanagement of campaign funds or whatever. But in his plea deal, he didn't do any jail time or anything like that. And he was also allowed to run for office again, which he is. He's running for mayor again in Mount Vernon against the incumbent, Sean Howard. And I spoke with him. He was supposed to come on my podcast, never did. But I've learned that people use me as leverage. They use Freddy Vazquez as leverage, and he did. And I think that he got to go on Ruro's show, as a result. And Ruro couldn't have him come on my show first, right? So that was his goal, and so he got on there. But before he did, he spoke to me about how he was very instrumental in the development that's going on here in the in downtown area in Yonkers. And I thought that was surprising to me, because I thought, really, I didn't think you had anything to do with Yonkers. I know you were former mayor of Mount Vernon, but he worked up in Albany with the governor at one point, Governor Patterson, I believe it was, the gentleman that was blind. And so I guess this idea and all this development was, being talked about up in Albany, even going far back as then. And so I guess Mike Spano happens to be the mayor that's playing ball, right, with Albany. I think that's where it's starting to appear. He's willing to play ball. And I also posted some old videos from, the mayor about 10 years ago, Mayor Chuck Lesnick and stuff. And they're talking about some developments and stuff. And so you can see some of the other developers that were around that are no longer around. And it's just interesting because, it's good to know history, right? You start to see, you get a better picture of what's going on here. So this apparently was, Albany's idea, the governor, and that materialized up there. And maybe Richard Thomas, the former mayor of Mount Vernon, actually did have something to do with that. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if he was just saying that to take some kind of credit, but, I didn't have no reason to not believe him either. But he said he was a big part of that. So, maybe he probably was a big part of that. And not, as we think, it's all Mayor of the Spano, and he has to finish it. This is the Mike Spano podcast. And by the
Hello,
way,
Yonkers. This first episode is named Hollywood on the Hudson, Stars in Schools.
Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to have the viewers in City Hall, especially in the mayor's office.
So, Mayor, when you first took office back in 2012, you had this vision of transforming Yonkers into a premier film destination, one that would rival the likes of LA and New York City. In an interview with Westchester Magazine, you coined the phrase Hollywood on the Hudson, and it stuck. Can you talk to us a little bit about your initial thoughts when Lionsgate approached you?
It was very, very interesting that this whole thing and how it all came about. So Here we are, take office. The governor's film office came down to visit, and they said, you really, what they suggested to me was, you really should have more of this industry in Yonkers. You have all that is needed. You're less than 20 miles out of Columbus Circle, which is the kind of like the center of where that industry needs to be in New York City. You're just outside New York City, so their costs are lower, and you have easier access. And so you have all the ingredients that a community would need if you wanted to have the film industry in your city. But, last year, in 2011, you only filmed 3 days in the city of Yonkers. Imagine 3 days. And I asked why, and they gave me a list of reasons. One, Yonkers had a stage tax. I think it was $1,200, and it was a stage tax that no one in the industry had to pay anywhere else but in Yonkers, New York. They had a number of requirements that were forced upon them by local labor leaders, by local labor groups that would show up on site and say, okay, you need to hire this group, you need to hire this group, you need to hire this group. Again, adding to the cost, also creating a burden and becoming almost like a menace. And so, so the industry, when I say the industry, I mean the film industry, really wasn't excited about coming to Yonkers. And so they would go elsewhere because they didn't have to pay those pesky taxes. They didn't have to deal with some of the other rules and some of the other people that would come their way, which would, at the end of the day, would cost them a lot of money. So we did a couple of things because we wanted to bring more of the industry here, right? I would love to tell you that, our goal was to get Lionsgate here, but that wasn't what we were talking about, not back then. Back then, we were talking about how can we get more of this industry into Yonkers? And so we eliminated that tax. We put a film office in effect in the city, and the industry and their leaders could only deal with one person. That one person was a part of this administration. And that one person would facilitate the permits. That one person would also facilitate the needs. So if they were doing pyrotechnical, they would facilitate having a fire watch and having firefighters there. If they needed crowd control, then they would facilitate police officers. They needed to have the streets cleaned after a set. They facilitate having, a public works there, but only if they were needed. So again, it didn't add a burden, it didn't add the cost. And so we were able to get, those changes made. And it was really interesting. It literally turned around in a year. All of a sudden, we went from having 3 days to having hundreds of days of people filming movies in this city,
Wow. So anyway, he says that he was approached by the governor's film, I guess, film division or department or whatever that deals with filming here in the state of New York. And they wanted to bring a film industry here to the state, and Yonkers was perfect because it's 20 minutes from Columbus Circle in Manhattan, which is, I guess, the center point for the movie industry here in New York. And so they thought it great. He thought it was great, and they said that the year before he got into office, which was 2011, that they didn't really do much filming here in Yonkers. He said about 3 days of filming, and he asked why. Why was it so low? And how could we improve that and get more filming here? And the first reason he stated was a stage tax of $1,200. So, the movie industry, they wouldn't film here because of a $1,200 stage tax. I mean, that's chump change, I would think, right? I don't know. But the thing that really kind of, was surprising that he said to me anyway, was the local labor leaders and how he described them. He said, they added to the cost. So they didn't want to have to deal with local labor. But these are our guys, right? These are our women. Aren't we supposed to fight for them to get jobs? He said they became a burden. The local labor, the union guys and girls became a burden, almost like a menace, he says, almost like a menace. And so, he got rid of that. They didn't have to deal with that. That's what he did. So he eliminated that $1,200 stage tax that they didn't want to pay, right? And then he got a central person, right? This is how he addressed the problem when he got into office. Got rid of that pesky tax, the stage tax. He also, I guess somehow got rid of the labor guys from bothering the movie people, and having to do any work because they were a menace and a burden. And then he also created this position within his administration, for a person to be the central point of contact, right? And this person would be in charge of getting permits and facilitating whatever the needs were of, whatever studio, whatever company was filming here in the city of Yonkers, from having firefighters present, police present for crowd control, maybe EMS and stuff, whatever it was, DPW to clean streets up, but only if they were needed. So it didn't add to the cost because it was only if they were needed, right? And that person, I believe, is Melissa Goldberg, who does that. And I think that's what her position is, like the film liaison. And I kind of wondered what that was all about. So now I think I know. And so, yes, Melissa Goldberg, she is, the daughter-in-law of Carmen Gomez Goldberg, who, she's does something over with the charter school. She's instrumental in getting that charter school going over there on Warburton, the Charter School of Excellence. So she's in charge of that, Melissa Goldberg. And so he said, as a result of that, filming went from like 3 days to hundreds of days of filming here in the city of Yonkers. And someone had a question which I thought was interesting. How much money has the city of Yonkers made, in the past, let's say, I don't know, 12 years since he's been mayor of the city of Yonkers, since he got so much more filming done here, was able to get more companies to come film here. How much money has the city generated, and where has that money actually been allocated to? Like, where does it go? And what does it, do for the city, right? So, it's great. I guess it does generate revenue, but how much and where is it going? That's what we should know. And is there somewhere we could find that? Maybe someone out there can look that up and find it. I'll try and look it up. Maybe you already know where it's at and you can, show me or send me the link. I'd love to know that. There is a woman that worked on the Spencer and Emma Cone that did the same function. Oh, really? So if you know maybe a little bit about that, why do you think that there was less filming then? Right. He was saying that before he became mayor, there were maybe about 3 days of filming. And then after he became mayor and he, kind of changed this all around, there was now hundreds of days of filming. Right. And I don't, the stage tax of $1,200, that's strange that the movie industry, they wouldn't film because of a $1,200 I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars they're spending here to produce, television show or movie. And they're going to, really make a big deal of $1,200. Right. And so, and the labor guys, isn't that the point of, what you do as the mayor of a city representing people? You want to get the people of that city jobs. Right. So if they're going to come here, yeah, you got to give our people jobs. And, he talks about that's one of the great things about this movie industry coming into Yonkers is that it's going to provide jobs. But here it made it seem like the local labor guys were pesky. They were a burden. They were a menace almost. And so, we couldn't have them getting the jobs. Yonkers streets need to be more clean. Yeah, depending where you're at, especially. That's true. So let's see what else he has to say.
It's amazing. I didn't know that about.
And by the way, does anybody know who this guy is, the interviewer? I've seen her around the city hall. And, I'm like, who's this guy? He obviously would walk around like he has access to everything. So anyone know who he is?
Taxes. And it's interesting to me that you were able to do that. Can you talk a little bit about the process?
Yeah, well, like I said, sometimes it's not that they can't afford the tax, right?
Right.
But we want the jobs. We want the revenues. We know that there are greater revenues associated with bringing this industry to us than we would get on a stage tax.
Sure.
But the stage tax was enough for Lionsgate and all the different companies that film movies, it was enough for them to say, you know what? Nobody else charges that. We're not paying that, and we're not going to go. And so we needed to change it, and we were able to get lobby the council at the time, and the council changed some of the local laws and allowed us to make those changes, and that gave us the ability to be more attractive. That being more attractive, like I said, word spread real fast. Word spreads very, very quickly, I've noticed, in this industry.
Right.
It's like almost instantaneously. And you know, the industry looked at Yonkers and said, wow, here is the city of Yonkers. From it's culturally diverse. It is diverse economically. It has a mixture of urban and suburban settings, all right here in this kind of like this little 18 square mile bubble. And it's less than 20 minutes out of Columbus Circle. And they came in droves, and they wanted to be here. Now, you know, when a film set comes to Yonkers, and they're filming here in the city, are, you know, employing local people. They have local carpenters coming in. They have people coming in to help set up the set. They hire some of our local labor. They deal with our local restaurants. So we kind of like having them here.
Sure.
So this was the beginning of what eventually led us, and we could talk about that, you know, more. But that was to use the pun, we set the stage for what eventually became a huge.
So you're saying he set the stage by removing the stage tax, because that was just enough, $1,200, to keep companies from filming here in Yonkers. So he removed that, and that did it. That got them to come here. And, you know, he says that they love Yonkers, you know, is culturally diverse. Yeah. You know, it's economically diverse. You know, I don't know about that. It's becoming more and more, either you got money or you don't. You're rich or you're poor. That's what it's becoming. He says it's a mixture of urban and suburban. That's true. Although if they have it their way and they change the zones, you know, the single family zoning law thing, everywhere you're going to see buildings going up. So you're just going to see a bunch of, you know, nothing but urban area in Yonkers and everywhere. I don't know if you guys heard about that. James Nolan wrote a letter against it. They wanting to be able to change the zone, families, areas that are zoned for single families, and allow them to make, you know, change the zone to do other things like other buildings, whatever else, mixed use developments. They want to do these things everywhere. So that's why I was warning you folks on the east side, all you folks that live in those single family zoned areas, you know, brace yourselves. You know, if that happens, they're going to start building big buildings near you guys. So it's going to produce more density. You know, your peaceful suburban area is going to be disrupted. So, you know, he says that it's great. We love having the movie studios here because, or the movie is one really, and I don't know how much work they're doing, but we love having the people film here because it's great for the local people and jobs. But that's words. That's not true. That's just words. Who's being employed? Who are the people here in the city of Yonkers that are being employed that didn't live here before they were employed, right? Because now you have people that are moving here that live here now. Yeah, they may be employed, but they were not living here prior to being employed, or they moved here because of their employment with Lionsgate or with any other production company that may be in the area, right? So they're not hiring people that lived in Yonkers for the past 10, 15 years. That's not the case, right? And then he also talks about it's great for local labor, but he was just saying that they had an issue with local labor. And one of the reasons they wouldn't come, right? They were a burden. They were a menace. But now he says it's great for local labor. Although we know that they haven't been getting jobs. Local labor has been, you know, had issues, although they've been kind of quiet. And usually when that happens, we know it's because, you know, they made some deals somewhere, and so they're staying quiet. But yeah, that was a big issue. Teamsters 456, they came on the show one time. If you guys want to go back and check it out, I'm starting to organize the podcast on YouTube there. You'll see different playlists, but I had some of the individuals from Teamsters 456 on the podcast maybe about a year ago to discuss the fact that they were not getting work on these developments. They weren't getting work. They were protesting one of the developments on Ravine one time. And so that's where I actually met them. And I went there to cover it and show support, put them on the show to show support. They're getting tax breaks. They're getting pilots. They get that in order to produce jobs for local labor. But that's not happening. And so they were protesting it, right? So I had them on the show. If you're interested in that, check it out. Let's see what else Mike Spano has to say here. I don't know about this job thing, though. I'm still waiting for that.
It means jobs. It means revenues. It also helps your reputation, because there's a residual benefit to your reputation that will help you grow in so many other ways. And so at the end of this process, we're looking at probably 22, 25 new studios. Two of those studios are going to be 40,000 square feet. They'll be the largest studios on the Eastern Seaboard. We're talking 13,000 jobs. Conservatively speaking, we're talking now remember, so if people are coming here and there's 13,000 jobs available here, well, they're going to live here in our housing. Mm-hmm. They're going to shop here in our stores. They're going to pay an income tax. So those taxes are revenues to the tax for our budget. Sure. And so when we can expand our revenues, we don't have to raise taxes. So we want to expand the number of people who are coming here, who are working here, and who are paying their own taxes. That really gives us the opportunity to not to raise taxes on everyone else. And so it's great. And Yonkers will become synonymous with another industry, kind of like, Yonkers was known for Otis Elevator for the longest time, right? The largest elevator company in the entire world. Yonkers was known from the Alexander Smith Carpet Company, the largest carpet company in the entire world, and right up until the Second World War. And, they employed 7,000 people in the city of Yonkers. And their factory is still there. It's a historical landmark. We have it, and we're filling it up with new starter businesses, and it's getting it's becoming even a greater success.
Yep, Alexander Smith Carpet Mill. That's right. I actually had a recording studio in there many years ago, back when I was doing the music thing, and it employed a lot of people. That was back when Yonkers wasn't already overpopulated, when it really wasn't much here, and they was just developing it. So we needed people to come. But now we don't need people to come. We need jobs. We need opportunities to come here. Yes, we need revenues, but we're not going to be here, right? Most people are not going to be here to enjoy that revenue as a flock of new people, a wave of new people come in. As he said, there's going to be 13,000 jobs, 22 to 25 new studios, movie studios, not recording studios, not, those are small. Big movie studios. Two of them will be 40,000 square feet, the largest on the Eastern Seaboard. Hollywood on the Hudson, Yonkers. Where's that all going to fit? Where's that all going to go? There's going to be a massive amount of people traveling throughout the city of Yonkers with filming, with the studios. Very active city. And you're talking about another 1,000 people. And he said it himself, we're going to have 13,000 new jobs. So 13,000, people are going to be coming in for those jobs. So they're going to live here. So he didn't even say the people here were going to get those 13,000 jobs. He said people are going to come in to work those 13,000 jobs. So they're going to come to live here. And then they're going to shop here. So, and I guess whatever other services they need. So if you have a business, you're good. If you don't have a job, You're not getting one of these jobs. You're going to have to leave, right? The rents are going up. These residentials that they are building are for these, people that are coming in, this workforce from the movie studio, from the movie industry. This has been planned with people with lots of money, way above our income grade or our pay grade, right? Very rich people have colluded. There's a fact to change Yonkers up and make it this Hollywood on the Hudson. And so that's what we're going to be seeing here in the next 10 years, just more construction of more luxury residentials and more movie studios. But I like how he says it, 13,000 jobs. So all these people are going to come in to do those jobs and they're going to live here, not the people here. They're not going to get the jobs. That's funny, right? I told you. See, Mike Spano said it himself. The effing devil as we speak. Who the hell come for criminals? Listen, it's going to be a lot of people from the movie industry because, again, they're not going to be doing a whole lot of training and hiring people. They got schedules to keep. They got movies to make, shows to make. They have people that are already trained, already in the industry, already in the union, because there's a whole separate union for that are going to come here. That's why they're building so many of these rentals. And he says that, that's going to bring in revenue. Yes, it's going to bring in sales tax. It's going to bring income tax for the new jobs, but not so much in terms of property taxes, right? I mean, sure, these developments will pay property taxes, but a lot of them are getting tax breaks. And the majority of the people coming in that are going to be utilizing all of the resources, the utilities and all the infrastructure here in Yonkers are the people that are coming in that are going to be renting these luxury rentals and not paying property tax, which is what we need for schools and stuff like that, right? Roads and all that stuff. So that may not see much of an increase, but yes, sales tax, income tax, we'll see that. But how will that money be managed? That's another thing, right? We get money now. It's just a matter of how is it managed. And again, an increase in people, an increase in these movie studios, Mike Spano imagines that we will not have an increase in expenses. So yeah, we'll get all this revenue, but our costs will not go up. Is that what he's saying? I would imagine that all that stuff coming in here, we're going to have an increased cost, right? We're going to have to hire more firemen. We're going to have to hire more police officers, more first responders in general, more DPW crews to clean up all this filming stuff that's going to be going on. Right? There's going to be a lot of people, a lot of things going on. So absolutely, Mike Spano, we will have to increase the spending that the city spending expenses and training firemen to now start fighting fires in 40-story buildings. Something that they have not done and they're not used to. So they're going to have to hire more firefighters, train them to do these, high-rise, rescue exercises, missions or whatever you call it. They're going to have to buy probably more equipment. We're going to need more firehouses, I would imagine, more police station, maybe another one. We need more schools, although you don't seem to be getting a lot of families here, right? So, I mean, there's definitely going to be an increase in the cost. And there's going to be a lot of renovations and repairs that are going to need to be done by the city to the roads and the overall infrastructure to handle this volume of people and new buildings that are going to be coming here to City of Yonkers. 22 to 25 movie studios. That's a lot. That's crazy. So again, he says jobs, revenues, but the jobs, I don't know. He says the people are coming in to get these jobs. They're not the people here, right? I don't know. How do you feel about that? Folks, he says we're going to be, known for another industry like the elevator company. There was another place that they did this to in the South. It was called the Hollywood of the South. Oh, how original. Hollywood of the South, Pineville, Georgia. They built studios. They went in there, started building luxury rentals. They pushed a lot of the people out. It was a small town. So I'd imagine they got pushed out quick. And then after a while, they abandoned it, right? They used it up for I don't know how many years they wanted to use it up. And then they went and moved somewhere else. So I'm also concerned with the future. Will one day Lionsgate and all these, movie people up and leave and say, okay, we're done with Yonkers. We're going to Arizona or we're going to Wisconsin for whatever reason, right? It's just better there. We don't have to pay this over there. We're paying it here. And what's going to become of these movie studios, right? That happened in Georgia. They just have these studios, right? So they're trying to repurpose them somehow now, right? So you have to think ahead also. Most of the workers are local one. They would just take the train up from the city. You know what I mean? Now, that's what it's all about. Not going to happen. People are flocking to Republican states. Yeah, that's what's happening. Hollywood-themed gentrification. No sweat, Mayor Mike. Just got to displace several thousand Black and Hispanic people on the waterfront and also white people. I mean, I don't want to, forget about the people at Watergrant Street. Their building is being threatened, right? They want property. They're threatening that, I don't know how to say that Sarah Lawrence facility over there. And I drove by there earlier today and I saw it, and it just looks just so like this small building dwarfed by these towers that are going up, these high-rise, buildings that are going up around it. It's almost like, get out the way. We want you, right? It's really like they're looking down on this poor little building there that they're trying to hang on to, and they're using the county now to get at them and give them these ridiculous demands so the developers could just take it. That's what they've done here to people, folks. Make no mistakes about it. 13,000 jobs are an ish torso your amount of people. They will never survive in Yonkers, period. Who's that? The movie people. Mickey McCheese has to complete with Georgia movie theaters. They can never compete with us cost-wise. Watch the taxes burn Yonkers. They are still here and growing, Freddie. I don't know where you get. No, I'm gonna. There's several places in Georgia, but I'm gonna. Is it Pineville you're talking about? I'm gonna show you. I read the article. I said they up and left after a while. Yeah. So they're gonna build 22 movie studios, and also, excuse me, I'm hitting the wrong thing. I'm going to hit this. And also a school, right? One of the things he talks about, no, Doraville. I'm talking about Pineville. Doraville, that's another place. Doraville, is that Pineville? Is that the same place? Pine something. Anyway, but he also talks about a school that they're going to be doing, the Yonkers Public School and Lionsgate, right? And this is like a magnet school where the kids are going to go there and learn about film. There's going to be 300 students. They're going to be, giving training and, all kinds of stuff that have to do with movie production, maybe some acting and stuff, and they have the possibility of going to work in the movie industry, instead of going to college, I guess, or, maybe they can go to college. Syracuse is also going to have a satellite campus there. This is what he's talking about, what is supposedly being planned for the Olik and Watts property over there, just on the border of the Bronx and Yonkers there, Valentine over there. And so, that's a possibility. But he doesn't talk about that when he says, we're building 2 schools. Why didn't he say that, right? He always says we're building that one school on McLean, but he doesn't include this one. Isn't that another school that they're building also? Wouldn't that be 2? It's going to be with Lionsgate, I guess, and Syracuse over there and all that. But isn't it going to be a YPS school? I'm a little confused about that. So anyway, let's hear what he has to say about that.
That's ever was. But again, it's a city. We'll see their true effect.
Speaking of the effects and how it can start small and expand in unexpected areas, I was wondering if you could talk about the actual component in the agreement that you had with Lionsgate about the 2 new film schools for Yonkers.
Yeah, we can talk about that. That was a really interesting idea.
By the way, Mike, if you go back to my podcast from a year or so ago, that was my idea, Mike. I was saying that this is what you guys needed to do. I'm glad you're doing it.
During desegregation, when Yonkers was under a dual desegregation order, it was a tough time for the city, economically, financially, our reputation. Certainly we all know if we live here, we're not a racist community, but if you're under a dual desegregation order, if you're outside of Yonkers, you might have a different impression. So we had a lot of work if we wanted to kind of change our image and move the city in a different direction. The reason I brought in the deseg order was because we were 100% what they call magnet schools. So we have magnet schools all across the city. And that allowed us to teach almost specialties to kids who wanted to be in any school in the city.
Right.
That magnet program was wonderfully successful, but extremely expensive. And when the city settled its desegregation order, it kind of went by the wayside. But here we have an opportunity now to bring a magnet back. And a magnet, so the magnet would be a film studio school. So they're going to come up with a curriculum that they're going to be able to teach kids, 6th grade to 12th grade, about the film industry, about holding a camera, about writing scripts, about doing all the things that you do in that industry. And frankly, Many of the young people that graduate from this school won't have to go to college. If they choose not to, they can actually go right into the industry. And that's the whole goal and the whole beauty of this thing, that they'll go right into the industry. And the industry pays very well. I mean, they are very much middle class. And it's someone gets a job working for Lionsgate, they're going to have a direct line to the middle class. Now, that's a great thing that we can offer our kids here.
Yes, it's a great thing we can offer our kids here. I'm always all for education. However, a direct line to the middle class is a great education, period. It doesn't necessarily have to be a film school. And I think improving the overall quality of the school district will give everybody a direct line to the upper middle class, possibly, right? Everybody. Education is, one of the tools for upward to help you move up in life, right? On upward mobility, right? And so I think that, we should focus on the entire school district. And, it's great that they're offering this program, but again, it's going to be limited, right? So it's going to be like one of these, schools that everybody wants to get into, right? You get 3 choices. That school, when it opens up, whenever it opens up, right? This is just what is being told to us. And I know by now, and I hope you guys know by now, that what we hear them say is not always what happens. But let's hope, right? Let's hope that this is what's actually going to happen. And we see this school opened up. How many people are actually going to be able to enroll in this particular school, right? I think he said about 300. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be very competitive. Everyone's going to be trying to get into this school. Everybody wants to be in the film industry, right? It's very appealing. You could become a famous star, a celebrity, but it's not an easy industry to get into for anyone. Doesn't matter, what connections you have, like with, school you go to. There's so many people trying to get into this industry, right? And so that's a great to offer. But here's another thing, and I'm just going to put it out there because I hope they do it, regardless if I'm the one that gets to implement it or not. Mayor Spano, why don't you also do, because parents are asking for these trade schools, right? And magnet type schools, also do schools where they have a direct line to one of the departments here in the city, right? Something more realistic, more attainable, more achievable, that also makes a good salary. That's also a direct line to the middle class. Our employees, or not our, but the city employees make good money here in the city of Yonkers, right? So imagine if you had these programs in the high schools where kids can learn how to be, all about firefighting, police officer, law enforcement, right? The goal is that once they graduate, they are, ahead already for the police department, for the fire department, for DPW. You want to work in sanitation, right? They do testing in the schools already to place them already, put them on a path. All right, you're on this track to become a fireman. You're on track to become a police officer. You're on track to become, DPW, sanitation, whatever. Send them out for, one of the days out of the week with the guys out there while they're at work, so they can start learning that stuff. You want to work in the school, you want to be a teacher? Well, hey, one day a week, you're going to go into one of the schools and work alongside a teacher and follow along that person, right? Or another classroom. These things that are more attainable, that are more realistic, that are more achievable, that are also great careers, that also give them great pay. That's could be done now. We don't have to wait for Lionsgate. We don't have to wait for Syracuse. We don't have to wait for construction. We can do that now. We can implement that in the schools next year. And imagine that. Kids who say, you know what, college is not for me, but I would love to, be a firefighter. They can get some, I believe police officers, you have to have some college credits. So they can get that in high school, right? So they don't have to, necessarily go to college after high school, try to get those credits. It's all going to be right when you graduate. You have X amount of credits already. It's like a program. And I've seen this done in other schools, high schools, where kids that graduate high school with X amount of college credits already, giving them a head start. So this could be something that they could implement. You want to be a police officer? Here you go. You're more interested in being working in DPW? Here you go. You want to be a teacher? Well, you have to get a degree. You have to get a master's. But hey, we have a program that'll help you get there sooner, that'll get you on that track sooner, and then also get you on track to become a teacher here in Yonkers, right? So you're a Yonkers student, you're a Yonkers native, you grow up here, you go to school here, you graduate here, and then you go to work here, and then you stay here. That's how we build our community. We don't push the people out and bring all these new people in and then sell it to us like it's going to be great for the people you pushing out. That doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't make sense. This stuff is not for most people here, but it's being sold to them like it's great. This is what we need to do. And yes, we could do this movie thing too, is great also. But folks, the movie industry is very tough to get into. It doesn't matter that they'll have this connection with Lionsgate. It's going to be so competitive. It's very competitive. I know people that work in it, right? I know people, again, I graduated high school with people, movie executives, Marvel Studios. They produce Captain America and Iron Man series, right? Yeah, they produce these movies, right? And then I also know people that also do production stuff that started out, you know, one of the guys in the cars with the cones on top of the cars, and they watch the spaces, you know, so they can clear out, you know, all the parking spaces so no one will park. Well, he started out doing that. He moved up to different, you know, positions within the production thing. But he said it himself, it's difficult, very competitive, and it's all about who you know. He said, that's really the biggest thing. He said, really, it's about who you know. Okay, so if you know somebody, that's most likely why you will advance in the movie. And I'm not trying to knock it. I just want people to be realistic. As somebody who wanted to be in the music industry, right? I want to be, right? And I worked hard to do that. But, you know, that's a tough industry. It's a lot of people, it's very oversaturated. So I would like them to see them focus on more, you know, attainable goals, more realistic stuff, you know, jobs with the city. Let's get kids who are not going to go off to college. College is not for them. Let's get them on track to work in one of the departments here in the city of Yonkers. We could start that program right away. And I've been saying that for a while. So that's a dope program I like to see. Let's see what else he has to say before I get up out of here.
Yeah. And they came back to me with this wonderful proposal where we will have as many as 600 young.
FDNY has a cadet program where kids end up getting a job once they're of age and finish the program. Yeah, that's what we should do here with the YFD and the YPD, right? And I also heard, somebody told me this, that you can take the test, the civil service test, as young as 16, right? And then, you know, I guess when you turn 17 or something like that, you can start to get some of the certain jobs. But I hear you can take it early and at least you can practice. And someone told me that there was someone as young as 12 taking it just for practice, because when they become of age, they want to go ahead and, you know, be ready for it. So, you know, there's parents out there, there's families out there, and I'm sure because they're connected and they're in the know, because most of us don't know. And this is why I'm putting it out there for you parents, right? They're putting their kids to take these civil service tests early so they can, you know, practice and they can get the best score possible. So if you have a child that's going to be interested, maybe consider it. You can, I heard there was a 12-year-old taking it just for practice, but you can take it for real officially, I think as young as 16 here in Yonkers. So don't miss that opportunity, folks. I know they don't promote that. Certain people only are the ones that are, you know, knowing about it. So I'm promoting it out there, right? Make sure we all take advantage of the opportunities that exist here in the city of Yonkers.
Young people who can come from anywhere they want in the city, choose space, provided we have the space, to be a part of this magnet program.
Provided we have the space.
And be a part of this booming business that we have here in Yonkers. Picture the site. So it's a 28-acre site. There will be probably 14 or so additional movie studios on the same 28-acre site. Wow. And in the middle of this 28-acre site, overlooking the Hudson River, will be the new high school. And that new high school, young people are going to go to school every day. They're going to learn, you know, reading, writing, arithmetic, but they're also going to learn about this industry. And they're going to be able to have hands-on. Think about this. They're going to build a studio and attach it to the school. So our kids will be working in the studio. Our kids will be driving through a maze of things that are happening where there are famous actors and actresses that are walking around them and amongst them. How cool is that going to be? So we're looking forward to that.
Congratulations. It's amazing.
How many people believe that? How many people believe that? I want to know. I truly want to know. I don't want to be negative. How many people believe that? Our kids are going to be walking among movie stars, right? While they go to school. Picture that, right? It's going to be the high school. It's going to overlook the Hudson River. And kids are going to be going there to go to school. And they're going to be going there to do work. And they're going to actually attach a studio to the high school. And so the kids could actually work in the studio, right? I don't know how many people actually believe that. You know what makes me not believe it all the way, or maybe that this is just an idea. Like it's not really materialized further than a thought, than an idea, because he didn't give any real details, right? He didn't give any details at all. Just said that they're going to be, attaching a high school to a movie studio. It's going to overlook the Hudson, and kids are going to go there to do work. Right. And then they're also going to learn hands-on, and then they're going to walk, amongst movie stars. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I believe, it just doesn't sound real. It sounds like it's being sold to us. Like it's just an idea that they have and they're tossed around, but there's no real, energy being put into it. There's no real steps being taken to make it happen. Sure, Lionsgate has purchased, Joe Carter has purchased the old Leak and Wasp property, right? And yes, Lionsgate plans on building more studios there, as he said, about 14 of them right there on that lot alone. And yes, Syracuse plans on building a satellite campus for their students. But I don't know about the young public school students. I know that they're looking to transform the PAL into some kind of film thing, because honestly, Lionsgate has taken that as well. I don't think, they really want people in the city of Yonkers to know, but the PAL is going. I don't think they're going to knock it down, but they've taken that over. They've taken that whole strip down Warburton right across from the Department of Social Services. Right across, they got those houses, gave the guy $500,000 for a property that was worth at least $800,000, gave him half the money up front, and mortgaged the rest. Took advantage of this dude. Went from living in a house with a decent lot to living in an apartment on Elm Street. That's what Lionsgate did to this Hispanic man. Just saying, that's a true story, right? He's not lying. I used to see DMX when I was working all the time. Reading, writing, and arrhythmia. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we need to focus on. I don't hear much talk about what we're going to do about these old dilapidated buildings. We're talking about this one school that to me sounds just like a thought that he's had. He's tossing around. He's trying to throw it out there to make people excited, get parents all excited about this. Yeah, let's vote for Mike. He's going to get this school. My child is going to be a star, playing with people's emotions, playing with people's hopes. That's all I think it is. Let's start with the basics. And the fact that he's not starting there, to me, says that this is all BS. Start with the basics. We have that school on McLean. What's going on with that? Can we get an estimated, time of completion? We know it's gone over budget. Will it go over time? Right? What should we expect from that? What's going to be in that school? Where is that? We don't hear nothing about that. We always hear everything about Lionsgate, the developers, AMS, luxury residential, developers, Lionsgate, Joe Carter, AMS. That's all we hear about. Let's start with the basics. Our schools are over 80 years old on average or more. The oldest being 136 years old. Let's fix those schools. Let's fix the overall quality of the school district. Let's add real sports program. Did you folks see this commercial? I saw it the other day. I was watching, I just decided to watch basketball this weekend because I said, I'm not going to think about politics. And so when I don't want to think about work or politics or anything like that, I turn on the TV because it's like, nothing, right? It's like just a bunch of nothing that you're thinking about, and it just frees my mind. And I just like, all right. And I see this commercial as I'm watching, I think it's a Golden State Warriors game, and it talks about sports, and it shows kids engaging in sports, and it gives a bunch of different reasons why sports is important, right? It builds teamwork, it talks about the coach, about the teammates, socialization, how it helps kids fit in, bring them into a group depending on what sport they like. gives them scholarships, it gives them educational, academic opportunities, helps them pay for college. Many kids who can, whose parents cannot afford it and don't want to have to take out these crazy loans, but are, very athletic and do well in sports, go get a scholarship. My wife got a presidential scholarship, a full presidential scholarship. She got a full ride, free college. She didn't end up finishing. She only did 1 year there. She actually gave up a full academic scholarship because she didn't like the school and ended up going somewhere else. But she got it. And so many people I know not only got academic scholarships, but got scholarships for sports to Division I schools, big schools, right? And also, the smaller schools as well. A lot of kids got scholarships to a lot of smaller colleges and universities. And that helped pay for their college. That paid for their college. So, and that gave them opportunities. Some of them, a lot of them may not have gone to the NFL or NBA or whatever, but, they became coaches in college, coaches at high schools. It just does so much. And that's what we need to see and hear and just have done. This is great, but this is all talk. This is all sales to me. It's all about trying to get you to want to make sure that we keep the same administration going because he's got to finish the job that he started. Actually, Albany started. And maybe former mayor of Mount Vernon, Richard Thomas, started. And the mayor is just, inherited this opportunity. And they'll say, hey, you take all the glory, take all the credit. This is what we want to do. The rich people came, they donated a lot of money. Kathy Hochul's in there. Now she's got to, return the favor. And that's what's happening here. So screw the people of Yonkers, because at the end of the day, the people making the decisions for Yonkers are not from Yonkers. And they don't care about Yonkers. And they don't care about you. And this is why it's so important that we come out and we vote for change this year. But as I'm learning in these elections, and I've been speaking with other individuals, there's a lot of funny business going on with these elections. It's a lot of funny business going on with politics in general here in the city of Yonkers, which makes it nearly impossible for anyone to take out the administration. And it doesn't have to do with money. It doesn't have to do with people wanting to vote for you or sign your petition. It has to do with a system that has been rigged for a very long time now. And how do we unrig that system? We do it by discussing it. And eventually we will come up with the solution, folks. Freddy, did you get the videos I sent you about the smart cities and 15-minute cities? I have to check, but I've been hearing a lot about that. That goes over people's heads, and they don't realize how it's all connected. But it's too much. New Gorn High slated for 2037. Yeah. They can't fix or build the schools. They use the funds in an inverse order, salaries through the roof, and the pension system. Look at the cost of the pension fund, and you'll have to do it is take this to civil court on misappropriation of taxpayer funds. And what Pete means by that is that, a lot of the revenue, right? The mayor says we want to bring this in because this is going to generate more revenue for the city. This is great. That means your taxes are not going to go up, but that's all fluff. That's all fluff. That's not true. More revenue does not equate to, taxes remaining stagnant or remaining the same, right? There's no correlation there, right? There's none. He hasn't made any, right? So, the money that we get now is pretty good. It's just that it's mismanaged. Most of it, and I don't want to, people say mismanaged, you're paying salaries, but most of it goes to salaries, right? And you have to think about this as a business person, right? If you are a business owner, do you want to pay most of your money that you get into your salaries to the point where you can't do anything else? You're relying on, funding from a business loan from the bank constantly. The bank needs to give me more money to keep me afloat. I need to keep this capital, right? I have to keep that line of credit open in order to stay afloat. That's basically what the city of Yonkers, how it's operated, how they're running it, right? And the state is the bank, yet the state is saying, we're not giving you any more money. You have to manage your money right. And one of the complaints that the state makes is the money they spend on overtime, the amount of money that they go over on overtime by $4 to $5 million for each department, damn near. Right. And so that impacts, the city as a whole. And not to knock people that work for the city, because I'm not against you guys. I'm just trying to give, a quick, business lesson here, right? You obviously have to cut it down. If that's your situation as a business owner, you're gonna say, okay, either, I'm gonna have to lay off some employees, or I'm gonna have to reduce salaries. I can't pay people as much, right? Because I want to make money. I want to make a profit. I want to grow my business. I want to expand. I want to open up another location. But if I'm spending all my money on paying the people that work for me, then what's the point, right? So that's the problem here. So about 60 to 70%, and Corazon Pineda Isaac knows this very well. The councilwoman from District 2 is letting everyone know privately. Hush, 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 hush. She is going around privately letting people know, showing them the list of Spanos that work for the city. She's saying there's quite a lot, and I've heard this. There's quite a lot, and she has the list, and she will show you and tell you exactly how much taxpayer money the entire Spano family is bringing home every year. That must be part of her campaign strategy. But it's a fact that should be made public. Why has the councilwoman not done so herself? I don't know. I guess Freddy or Vazquez will have to do that too, because I'm usually having to do their jobs, right? And a lot of things that had been happening here in the city of Yonkers, folks, you have to see that Freddy Vazquez is talking about it, then it's getting done. So who's actually getting things done? I've already am working for you folks as the actual mayor, getting things done, maybe not officially, but I speak about it and they move. And just like this Syracuse idea, that's actually an idea I was throwing out there about a year or so ago. And I was saying, well, this movie studio, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? Why don't they do a film school with the public schools? I even told Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, city council president, this. We had a conversation about it, among other things. But I don't care, as long as they actually do it. I don't know if they're going to actually do this. I hope so. I hope they're just not selling us a dream to get us just to go along with it. But folks, politics here in the city of Yonkers is not fair. It's very rough. It's very corrupt. And unfortunately, unless you set up this real super powerful structure, machine, you're not going to beat this current administration. You're not going to take this out. And I'm learning that. And so what I want folks to understand is that I'm learning. To me, this is school. I'm in school right now. I'm going through college or whatever. I'm going to School of Politics here in Yonkers, and I'm learning how they do it. And my goal is not to necessarily have the state come and investigate elections, New York State Board of Elections come and investigate this. If they want to, they great. If they do their job, great. We would love to see them do their job, wouldn't we, folks? Are they going to do their job? I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. But at the very least, we can discuss it. I will let you guys know what's going on. I think it's only right that you should know. So I'll speak about it on my podcast. I'll let anyone who's willing to listen know what's going on. But more importantly, I will learn. And when I learn, then I will put my system into place. And I will come much stronger next time. So that's the way I look at it. I'm learning this system. It's very, it's not fair. Let's just say that. It's not fair at all. But we're going to learn and we're going to take over eventually. Maybe not this time, but in 4 years, I promise you, if I'm not running my daycare centers, if I don't have 2-3 daycare centers that I'm completely busy with, in 4 years, I will make a strong run for mayor of the city of Yonkers. You better believe that. And I will focus on the next 4 years on doing just that. I will know exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And I'll set my whole system in place. And I'm going to give them a hell of a run. That's for sure. So I don't, some people say, Freddy, this is good. Listen, I'm winning because I'm learning, right? I'm winning because I'm learning. And so That's a plus to me. Freddie, my taxes were $3,000 in New York. It would be $15,000. I turned 62 last year. My school taxes come off that over $2,000. Our state taxes have a surplus of $6 billion. Kemp is giving bonuses to teachers, police, fire, property tax, and another stimuli pay out $500. Nice. You know, I don't want to talk too much about my business, but because they always watching, you know, and I try to, you know, from day one, I just always stay, you know, pretty much private, you know. So even everything I do is kind of private. I don't attach my name to a lot of things. Just, you know, and that's nothing illegal. It's not done illegally, right? You know, you could do things like that legally. But just know that, you know, where you know, we have a property, you know, a 6,000 square feet home, right? Not even 3,000 a year in taxes. I'm lying. Maybe a little over 3,000 now, but in the beginning, right? It was the home, first year. I'm trying to like say without saying too much. These people watch everything. They watch everything I do. And in fact, I want to show you something here. They watch everything I do. They definitely see what I'm saying, try to get information that way. You know, I told my wife, I said, please just watch what you post on your page, honey. You know, it's unfortunate that these people are still on us like this, but I get it. I'm doing this podcast. They don't like it, you know, but you know, they're very nasty and dirty here. They're using this guy, Brian Harris. So they watch my page, everything. Look at this. Look at this. Everything I do. Right. This is Dell. You know what's sad about this guy is that this guy Dell, I try to help him out. The guy, he's you know, Dell. I don't know if you know Dell. Dell is an individual. I'm not sure how old he is, but you know, it's obvious that he may, you know, have some mental health. Yeah, I'm trying to say without I don't want to be mean. I don't want to say how to say without being mean, but Dell obviously had to, you know, anyway. And so he is manipulated, and I feel bad because they take advantage of this guy. He doesn't know any better. I mean, Dell would come into my office and I'd pay him. I really was just doing it to just because I didn't need him to share my podcast. And he, you know, and now I guess they saw that he was sharing my podcast, so they must have reached out to him and they said, hey, we'll pay you more money. You know, which wasn't a lot of money the guy wanted. He wanted only $30 a month, this guy. Dell. Right? So he can share it on his page, Yonkers Insider or whatever. And so I give him $50 a time. Right here you go. Oh, thank you. I mean, it's not a lot more, but you know, whatever. And he wasn't even always sharing all my podcasts. And I said, Dell, you got to share all of them, right? But apparently they got to him. They didn't like it. He even told me, he said, you know, Brian called me and said, well, Dell, why are you sharing Freddy Vazquez's stuff? These people, this is Yonkers. This, you know, I wouldn't mention it if it wasn't a part of politics. This is a part of politics. You have to believe me when I tell you that these individuals are guided by our city clerk and city clerk's office. It's a fact. And this is what they set out to do on their behalf. In fact, Dell was asked by someone, why are you doing that? And they said, it's just business. So attacking people, Dell, is just business? You make money by spreading falsehoods about people and their families. But nasty falsehoods. People that are, you know, not public people, right? And they're not true. I mean, at least if they were true, at least if they had some documentation, they had things to support what they say, but they'll just put anything out there. I mean, from child pornography, have I ever accused the mayor of any city council member of engaging in child pornography? No. Did I ever call CPS on any of the council members or any elected officials? No. Have I ever sent anyone to any of their businesses, John Rubo's business? No. If I say John Rubo was given a better lease once AMS bought the building, well, That's what sources are alleging. The same way sources allege that Mike Cater was involved in quid quo pro with Smith Bus Jacobs. And that was investigated right away. City Council thought that was important enough to write a letter to Leah McLaughlin and investigate it, right? So why wouldn't I mention that about Mr. Rubo, the councilman from the 4th District? Now, I'm not saying anything about his lovely wife. I've never mentioned his wife at all, and I won't. There's no reason for me to mention his wife. He has a beautiful family, in fact. Very beautiful family. Right. And so I and even Brittany Spano, even when I spoke to his wife, I said, I hear you're a great mom. And I meant that because I heard that. That's what people said. She's a great mom. She says she's all about family. I said, me too. Right. But she also does work for the YIDA. She's the executive director. And they are very involved in the developments. But I've never mentioned anything bad about her in child pornography. I never said she sent Vinny Spano child porn from her work computer, have I? No. No. In fact, I didn't mention much of her until they decided to do what they did to my business and my family and try and destroy our reputation with those false claims of CPS and that video that Ruros and Brian Harrod are trying to essentially blackmail me with currently. Right? Brian's going to continue to attack me unless I take down everything that I ever said about Ruros. But I don't understand why. I said, Ruros, if Brian's not your partner, why does Brian care? Oh, he's my friend. Oh, he's your friend. Okay. So basically, Ruros has Brian attack me on his behalf. So this is what they do. And this was put March 11th. I just got it sent to me. Freddy's trying to avoid Freddy Vazquez is trying to avoid and not responding to the legal demands from Zahi Jerris for discovery in defamation case that could put the legal assets of many Yonkers residents at serious risk once YouTube video maker starts talking under oath. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know. In defamation case that could put the legal assets of many Yonkers residents at serious risk? What is he talking about? Like, I mean, I don't make things. Folks, this is the deal with that. So he sent me Zahi Jerris, the man that was convicted for corruption, bribery, extortion. You know, he got a city councilwoman, majority leader, sent to jail for 6 years while he only got 4 years. Then he tried to lie and say that he was giving her this money and gifts and all that because he was in love with her. That's right, because he was in love with her. Meanwhile, he's married, so his wife has to hear this excuse that he's coming up with, embarrassing his wife even further. And so I spoke about it, and now he's suing me for $1 million. It's a joke. And so we responded to that, saying it's a joke, basically. And then his lawyer responded to that, asking for my sources. Well, my sources in regards to Zahi Jerris are Google, Vinny Spano, and Zahi Jerris himself. Whatever I didn't find on Google, I heard from Vinny and or Zahi from their own mouths. When we would go out and hang out, we'd have some beers, we'd chat. And so now he's upset because I speak about what he's told me or what I've read online. Oh, Anthony DiMaggio says he's a source also. He wants to be a source, which I guess in a sense he is. Right? And you know Vinny Spano was a source. He's given me information on other people, which I have documented. And we spoke about Zahi Jerris many times, which I also have documented. So don't worry, Brian. I will be responding. But don't worry, other sources. The only sources I will give up are the ones I just gave up. Google, Zahi himself, and Vinny. any other source that I got, anonymous, I don't even know who you guys are. Never met you. Never met you. And they're not going to get anything other than that. There's nothing to give anything on Zahi Jarrett's case. So those are my sources, Brian. There you go. I put them out there. I'm going to make sure that we put it in the proper, format and get it over to Zahi's attorney. Those are my sources. And I'm not sure what you mean by people's legal residence, legal asset. Folks, don't let this guy scare you. You know what they're trying to do here? They're trying to keep people from giving me information by scaring people. Oh, many residents of Yonkers are at serious risk of legal assets. Could put the legal assets of many Yonkers residents at serious risk. No one's at serious risk. No one's at serious risk. So this is what they put up. And then he also talks about the mayor. Lame campaign. Mayor Mike Spano, low energy re-election efforts are unimpressive in a competitive primary season. And I believe he's being sarcastic here. But anyway, folks, I'm Freddy Vazquez. That's my episode for tonight. Brian, Harrod, and Ruros. And by the way, Ruros, I got some audio here. I want to play. I'm going to play it soon, so you can hear Ruros actually, basically telling me who the source was, who gave him that video, and also pretty much admitting to the fact that elected officials wanted him to write negative stories about me to hurt my business. Yeah, that audio is going to be coming soon. Don't worry about it. I'm playing chess, not checkers, from day one.
Freddy wins.
I'm Freddy Vazquez. Thank you, folks, for watching. That's the Mike Spano new podcast, Mike Spano UnMike'd. What do you think about it, folks? Do you believe that we will have this film high school magnet that will be just as the mayor described, overlooking the Hudson River, attached directly to a movie studio where kids will go and walk amongst the stars and get jobs in the movie industry, where they will have a direct path or line to the middle class? Do you believe that we will see this school? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? I'm Freddy Vazquez, folks. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Happy Tuesday. And please, folks, do not listen to what this guy Brian Harrod posts or Ruros. These guys truly hate me, and I understand why. I informed everybody of Ruros's past. Brian, I don't know why he hates me, but he does. But he gets paid to do that, folks. It's a man that lives in our municipal housing. Doesn't do anything but stay home all day. Is paid. And Del, if I sue you, I'm not going to sue you to win. I'm just going to sue you to take you to court. Are you going to want to pay an attorney to have to deal with this, Del?
Freddy wins.
I don't think so. I ain't even going to waste my time, Del. God bless you. Make your $30. And keep the stains off the shirt. Old
You're
Spice.
watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Old Spice. Old Spice.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.